And going back across to Davos, where the founder and CEO of Huawei is addressing the World Economic Forum. We'll get to that address in just a few minutes from now. The stage is set for the founder and chief executive officer of Huawei, Ren Zhengfei, to speak on averting a tech war as a part of the 50th World Economic Forum in Davos.
Had concerns. However, with the development of industrial society, those fears disappeared over time. As a society continues to evolve, it came to where we are today, the information society. What does it mean? It's where electronics technology is so advanced. The Moore's law will still be there as the constraint of an electronics industry. But once we come to 3 or 2 nanometer of a chipset process technology, that's something we know for sure. And with the explosive development of computing power, information technology is pervasive, is everywhere. The breakthroughs of biotech and other emerging technologies, and the breakthroughs across different disciplines, across different domains, are appearing, helping accumulate capacity, ultimately leading to technology explosion. Technology explosion that causes fear among people, whether that's good or bad, to me, I think is for the good. I believe in the face of new technologies, humanity will be able to use new technologies to benefit society instead of destroy society. Because the majority of people in society aspire for a good life instead of a miserable life. When I was born, that was the time when the atom bomb exploded in Japan. When I was 6 or 7, the biggest fear people had was around atom bombs. That was a global fear for that. But if we look at life or history from a distance, we see enormous benefit from atomic energy and radiation application in medicine and others. That brought about enormous benefits to humanity. Today, we are seeing fears about artificial intelligence, but we should not over-exaggerate. The explosion of atom bombs would hurt people, but people can manage that. And AI is not as damaging as atom bombs, right? And for Huawei, our research is the so-called weak AI. There are boundaries, there are constraints, there are enabling data sets to enable that. And using things like autonomous driving, unmanned mining, biomedicine, and other domains, there are clear boundaries in terms of where AI can be applied. With more advancement of AI, it can enormously create a total wealth. And people are saying many people would lose their jobs as total wealth is being created. And that is a societal issue that needs to be addressed. But you'd better have more total wealth than less. Today, in society we live in, no matter it's poor people or rich people, the absolute amount of total wealth is much more than what we had decades ago. And of course, rich-poor divide is bigger. That does not mean you still have many people below the absolute poverty line. To address the widening income gap, that's a social issue, not a technical issue.
A huge number of really interesting issues, and I want to focus on 2 of them and ask Professor Harari to respond. One is the comparison with the atom bomb and atomic energy broadly. Is that an appropriate analogy? Because I think that's a very interesting analogy in the context of this discussion about a tech arms race. Mm-hmm. And secondly, I'm sure everybody in this room, Mr. Ren, would agree that there are huge benefits to be had from technology. I'm sure Professor Harari would agree with that too. But do you think that there is something, and I'm back to asking you again, Professor Harari, fundamentally different about the nature of AI and biotech, which means that it is significantly more dangerous than previous technological breakthroughs?
Yeah, I mean, the comparison with the atom bomb is important. It teaches us that when humanity recognizes a common threat, then it can unite, even in the midst of a Cold War, to lay down rules and prevent the worst, which is what happened in the Cold War. The problem with AI compared with atomic weapons is that the danger is not so obvious, and at least for some actors, they see an enormous benefit from using it. With the atom bomb, the great thing was that everybody knows when you use it, it's the end of the world. You can't win a nuclear war, an all-out nuclear war. But many people think, and I think with some good reason, that you can win an AI arms race. And that's very dangerous, because then the temptation to win the race and dominate the world is much bigger. So that's...
I'm going to really put you on the spot there. Do you think that is a mindset more in Washington or in Beijing?
I would say Beijing and San Francisco. I think in Washington, they don't fully understand the implications of what is happening. I think at present the race is really between Beijing and San Francisco. But San Francisco is getting closer to Washington because they need the backing of the government on this. So it's not completely separate. So that was the one question. Just what was the...
The second question was about AI, but you've answered it broadly, and I actually want to go back to Mr. Ren to respond to that, because you are clearly the target of much American concern. Given what...